Initiating moisture.
Continuing to blast ass through Game of Thrones, we will now be looking at Season 3. Just finished that shit, and it was significantly better than Season 2 in all possible areas. All of the plot lines seemed a lot higher stakes. Everything seems to be coming together into like a big orgy of madness, and it's a really, really fun story that I'm completely invested in now, even though I was before, but even more so now. Some characters I cared about died in the season. Very surprising with the Starks at the Red Wedding. Fucking great betrayal. Everything in the season really felt impactful. That will echo throughout the rest of the series, no doubt. And I really like that. That's what Season 2 didn't have until the very end. Here, everything was massive. In Season 2, even the very end, like the battle was super underwhelming, even though it had huge implications. It was still like an underwhelming battle. Here, there's nothing underwhelming at all, except Jaime Lannister's arc where he's being delivered back to the Lannisters in King's Fall. That's the only thing I didn't like. I thought the entire Jaime Lannister adventure, the whole anime arc with him, was uninteresting. Not that it was necessarily bad, but I didn't care for it. I just wanted that to end so we could get back to the other plot lines. Not that I think Jaime's a bad character. I think he's a great character. It just wasn't a very interesting story. There were some moments I did like, where his spirit gets broken. You see a side of Jaime you've never seen before in the show. I appreciated that, but still just not a very interesting plot that kept getting shoveled back in. I much preferred all of the other ones. The show, going into it, you always hear, it's titties with a little bit of sword fighting. And I think that's doing it a disservice. It's titties and a lot of passive aggressiveness and a lot of really good story. And the titties start to really wean out after the first season. I could count on one hand the amount of titty scenes in this season. It's a very low amount. So I think that whole statement is just wrong. It's really not like porn, which a lot of people seem to think it is. Me included, I thought it was just kind of porn with a little bit of a story attached to it as well, like some not Wizard of Oz type shit. But it's actually very fucking good, and it's a shame that it kind of has that reputation. The show tells a story that I haven't seen told before, and it tells it really well. It's not afraid of tragedy and making, characters you care about killed in gruesome ways, surprising ways. It's just it's a show that doesn't pull any punches, and I really like that. Now, Season 2, I had complaints about the visuals. I don't have any complaints about that in Season 3. The only complaint that carries over is I still don't think the sword fighting is that cool. I think it's pretty goddamn lame, except for a couple of scenes. Like, there's a fight with Jaime and his captor, and it's not very good. It's just kind of boring. I don't like it. Honestly, I kind of wish there just wasn't any sword fighting. Just fucking tell a story at that point, or more passive aggressiveness. The sword fighting just kind of makes me roll my eyes sometimes, but not all of it's that way. There is some really good fight scenes as well, but for the most part, just not very interesting in that department, if you ask me. That's not the show's strong suit. The show doesn't, it's not John Wick of Thrones. It's a show that aims to tell a really riveting, old school style story, and it tells it like nothing else. It's fucking great. And Season 3, I think, is better than both the first and second season. It got very dark, Theon Greyjoy getting tortured, and you feel bad for him, but you kind of feel guilty for feeling bad for him because all the bad shit he did at Winterfell. There's just a lot to like about the season. Daenerys is becoming this beacon of justice and righteousness, and the dragons are cute and shit. I really, really enjoyed Season 3. I'll toss this bitch over to Jackson now to give you his thoughts.
I just want to let you know that Season 3 is one of the strongest series of Thrones, and I think that's because it takes a whole lot of story threads, and it delivers an emotional set of events that really just resonate strongly. It really makes you feel for what your favorite characters are going through, and it's really just improvements all around. So pretty much everything positive we've said about Thrones is approved upon. The cinematography, the visuals, the writing, the acting, all really start to come into their element this season. At this point as well, it starts to become easier to understand the politics and intricacies of the world building while still being surprised by the events that happen, which is a very important thing because you don't want to be confused, but you want to feel like stuff that happens has merit behind it happening. So now you don't get confused, but you still don't see what's coming unless you've been spoiled, at which point you probably have already heard of the infamous Red Wedding, which is one of the most emotionally charged moments in the series and television in general. And it's something I was really looking forward to being adapted to screen, and it blew it away. All of my expectations were delivered with the Red Wedding. You're going to feel something this season if you're even remotely invested. Best episode of the season goes to episode 9, Reigns of Castamere, obviously. Best performances go to Richard Madden as Robb Stark and Michelle Fairley as Catelyn Stark for some really impactful and just emotional scenes that I wish didn't happen, but they did. The Moist Meter sends its regards this season and has opted to sit at a 90%. Yes, that's 90%. It's a good season, one of the best. We're currently just finished season 4, and we're about halfway done with season 5, so we'll get those out to you hopefully before episode 2 of season 8 comes out. We're binging this shit hard. We're on it pretty much 24/7 at this point, only stopping to make these Moist Meters every now and then. So break's over, back to binging. See you next time.